No, it's definitely good morning, Gotham. 3 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Moscow, 5 p.m. in Tokyo. Midnight in Sherman Oaks, California. 1 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, as the case may be. I am Scooter. Turn that back up. I'm Scooter McGee. You can find me on the World Wide Web, scootermcgee.com. It was just brought to my attention the page needs. Okay, I'll get to it. All right, I'll get to it. This was never designed to go 30 days, as we are end of 24 of March 2022, now into the 25th of March 2022, 28, 29, 30 days now into what was supposed to just be military exercises by the Russians. Well, if you go to the conspiracykeepers.com and listen to the episodes in January, yeah, well, I'm a high school dropout. What would I know? Anyway, you can follow me on social media on Twitter and Facebook. Links at scootermcgee.com there should work. Patreon, Scooter McGee. I don't know. I haven't been to my website. I'm not a narcissist. So I will wait to hear from my web guy. He'll talk to me. I'll talk to him. And you'll know when I know. So like and subscribe or thumbs up or thumbs down or do what you want to do. Here are your, and I apologize. I'm exhausted. Um, Politics and news is my sport. This is nonsense. A joke earlier today told by me to me by a good friend is he said as a joke, he says, "Hey Scooter, yes, what is the difference between a conspiracy theorist and fact?" It's a trick question. What? He goes, well, 6 months. No, just in the headlines of the first 28 days. As we enter into month 2 of the war in Ukraine, President Biden's address to the world from Brussels is embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as Ketanji Brown Jackson's appearance in front of Congress, as tomorrow she will most likely be confirmed as the next Supreme Court justice. The headlines are not grim, certainly not for the globalists, because this is no longer, they can't say they're incompetent. It is really starting to look as if they are in cahoots. I bring up Maripol. Maripol, originally, there was an announcement in the scroll that 200,000 people just fled Maripol. Well, the town is 400,000 people. The satellites would show the thermal image of all of them fleeing. Well, the Maripol story has taken on a life of its own, much like, was it Snake Island or Skull Island? Remember in the opening salvo, and the Ukrainians told the Russians to off, and they all died? No, they didn't. The first set of lies was the first set of propaganda thrown out by the West, not by the Russians. But let's attack Russian propaganda at any and all costs. Vladimir Putin has responded by announcing further sanctions on all non friendly nations who wish to purchase his product. You will do so and you will buy them in rubles, or you will not do business with us. Um, Again, it's now been widely reported that Google News no longer functions inside Mother Russia, as Russia deems Google News as fake news. There might be hope yet. Details are still being worked out regarding Pope Francis and a possible visit to the Ukraine and President Zelensky. Flags are now at half staff at the Capitol in the United States regarding the passing of the first woman to be Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, who died at the age of 84 due to cancer. Um, as of now, forgive me, it was a long day. And when I was outside in public, so Hawaiian shirts, it means I have to be in public. So if I'm just in the studio or sitting at home or wherever, else, well, the shirts are stiff, the dry cleaners and the starch, and they're uncomfortable to just sit down and relax. Um, as of 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 3/24/2022, No deal has yet to be struck with Venezuela regarding the possible acquisition of oil to the United States. Oh, as I reported earlier today, hey, as I'll fact check myself, if you guys catch one, you got to let me know. It's not deliberate. I reported the other day that the fire department for the great city of New York had acquired the robotic dogs, and now I those who know me, it was honest. I'm dyslexic. Now I remember the scroll and what it said, and I wrote it down because I did. But this is the same ABC and NBC News who even earlier today, 3/24/2022, on the early Today show for NBC, are addressing President Biden as Mr. Biden, which is funny because Jill Biden says that Kamala Harris is the president. So what do we really know? The robotic drones to the New York Fire Department. My apologies. They got two drones at $77,000 a pop, not 77 of them. That's not what the scroll said, but I did make that correction. So I apologize if you're out there doing. Hey, the conspiracy theory is not the picture that the White House and Joe Biden released of him getting on Marine One to go to the airport to get to Brussels. The satellite imaging and the street view imaging show the trees and the lack of leaves. That photo is an accident. It couldn't have possibly been done for a nefarious reason. But that photograph was not genuine for what was 3/22, 3/23. The picture was not genuine. Why is the White House not willing to correct that mistake? Suggesting conspiracy theorists talk about why that picture of Joe Biden getting on Marine One to go to the airport to go to the most historic trip of a presidential anyone. It's always the first, the best, the most. Um, the Katanji Brown Jackson nonsense only gets worse when a woman asks another woman to define woman, and you have the audacity to claim you're not a biologist. Only once all of the trans world takes every medal from the NCAA and it has to go to the Supreme Court, oh, then maybe you'll have a definition. The pedophilia and the critical race theory and everything else doesn't matter. These confirmation hearings are largely symbolic. Again, Ben Sassy, the Republican, well, you'll most likely get confirmed. Not a Republican. This isn't Republican Democrat. The Democrats don't need your vote to get her in. Fine, then what are we doing here? Unbelievable. 10 million displaced in Ukraine due to the Russian occupation thereof. Displaced is a rather interesting word instead of refugees, as President Biden from Brussels announced the United States will be accepting 100,000 of them. By the way, a refugee from a country, you go to a neighboring country where it's friendly. You don't ship them halfway across the world. Meanwhile, what are all these Ukrainians and Russians doing at the Mexican border suddenly? Not suddenly. I was reporting that 21 days ago. In the first week, Ukrainians started showing up at the Mexican border. Now also Russian evacuees, Russian refugees. We're going to need to overhaul immigration, aren't we? Immigration reform is long overdue. Let them in. Well, we can't tell which. Well, let them all in. How convenient for the midterms. It is now being called an international humanitarian crisis. That, of course, the military Russian maneuver is now a war in Ukraine that nobody wants to mention as a war. We're doing everything possible to prevent a war. President Biden did not act that way or speak that way today in front of the world stage. The media is quick to point out that war in Ukraine enters its second month. Only two states have decided to waive the national and state gas taxes. They're still debating that. Hey, maybe we'll give you a rebate. You mean print more money out of thin air? The Ukrainian army, along with the citizens, and the citizens in Ukraine, by the way, are called freedom fighters. That's what they are. They're freedom fighters. My comment to that in the French was, again, are we going to give up French fries and French toast and French kissing? It's nonsense, the doublespeak of the words they're using. The United States now officially on record from Brussels. The United States has officially um, admitted that Russia is guilty of war crimes. President Zelensky has now introduced a allegation regarding the use of phosphorus in the Russians are using phosphorus weapons in Ukraine. And yet, I direct your attention long ago when Anderson Vanderbilt, otherwise known as Anderson Cooper, was sitting up there on the patio at the hotel or at the Overlook when, there was that problem with the Gaza Strip and the Palestinians and the Israelis, and there was phosphorus being used on camera with him. I didn't hear any international outcry then. Continued demands for the MiGs, continued demands for the West and the United States. The United States, the United Nations Police Department, and the NATO Police Department. A missed headline the other day. German, remember the Orange Man when he ran around telling everybody at NATO you need to pay your fair share? 2% of your adjusted GDP isn't a big deal. Germany just ponied up all their back dues. That was about 72 hours ago. I did miss that story, and I apologize. NBC News' Molly Hunter is still reporting only about 7,000 to 15,000 Russians are no longer fighting. It's 9,800 Russian soldiers dead and climbing, and 15 to 16,000 wounded. So, Molly, I don't know where you got your degree in math, but 7 to 15,000, those numbers are simply not accurate. As of this morning, while you were translating on a Facebook social media post of this is breaking news, your numbers are wrong. North Korea has allegedly successfully tested an ICBM headed towards the coast of Japan. No, it's just that's the direction they fired it at. Well, this missile can travel 6,500 miles. That means it could hit the United States. Okay. Bird flu. Remember 2.5 weeks ago when I told you bird flu was coming back onto the radar? Stand by for a chicken wing shortage. In the Midwest, towards back to the east, they're having to cull the chickens. You mean slaughter them? How many? Well, we really don't want to tell you that number yet. Hundreds of thousands is not. It's millions of poultry that they are now slaughtering that will not go to market. Eggs, everything else that the chicken provides. Bravo. It's bird flu. Out of an abundance of caution, we're destroying the birds. President Biden, also while in Brussels, has called for the G20 to expel Russia. I got kicked out of 7 military schools. Expel sounds really harsh, doesn't it? It's very embarrassing. What does it strategically do? Nothing. The media yet is so quick to jump on this story. This is an unprecedented move. Well, the G7 to the G12 to the G20 hasn't been that long. So all of you journalists who are out there sharing all of the emotion and the tragedy, promoting the victims of the war, you got a lot of balls coming on your television and telling the world this is unprecedented. What's unprecedented are your media outlets that still won't acknowledge the Hunter Biden laptop and your collusion and your sedition, your seditious behavior and your treason in being complicit in the October surprise. The October surprise is meant to deal your opposition a blow they cannot recover from. We just won't print it. We can't verify it, Mr. President. We can't post it. And any of you who did got locked out of the system. How can you trust them for telling you anything about what's happening in Ukraine? The economic sanctions, by the way, that a month ago Joe Biden said we have to wait a month. Well, now we're at a month. Hey, look, no watches, and I know what time it is. You lied. And then you got caught on the international stage when the press called you out on it. I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. No, everyone else up and down in your administration went on national and international news and said it. You are a worthless piece of garbage, Mr. Biden. Why is ABC and NBC as of this morning 324? NBC in particular, the Today Show, the early Today Show as well. So much diversity on that. Oh my God. Got your little Kabbalah string there, and isn't that cool? And Mr. Biden, Mr. Biden. Jill Biden introduces Kamala Harris as the president. Who's in charge? Time to start evacuating some of the diplomats from other countries. Russia is expelling theirs, and we don't know what the United States is doing. Other than sharing interest back and forth, President Biden had a face-to-face meeting on the sides. They got their how? What a great photo op too! Because I told you that's what they wanted. There's the photo op at the emergency summit that took how many days to schedule and then announce, and then you get there. Well, we're still going to meet, but we haven't, we're going to do more sanctions. The sanctions are crippling the entire world, not Putin. And Biden having to backtrack. I never said they ever meant to do. Takes two questions from the press conference, starts to leave, is asked a third, and then snaps at the media. Special thanks to Der Spiegel, Germany. Again, I threw that first one. Hey, we'll pay our dues back up here real quick. Hey, is there a press con? Yeah, get her in the room. Him or her. Don't know which. I don't want to, violate the pronouns of the world. Mr. President, or Mr. President Biden, Joe, do you plan on running again? I'm not a politician. I'm the guy who advises them, and then they go do what I tell them not to do. Anybody asks you about an election when you're out of the country, shut your mouth. I appreciate that question, but we're here dealing with a rather serious situation. The election isn't for another 2.5 years, so I'm not going to entertain that. By the way, if you do any research, I'm on record back in the Western media, back in my country, on where I stand on this. You are? Get ready for more sanctions. Get ready for more record gas prices. Get ready now for even the commonest of the food, the chicken breast, the roast chicken. Again, the promise of a chicken in every pot by FDR. Because back then everybody was eating rabbit. But chickens can be, see, there was a, gotcha, didn't we? We're going to have to kill all the chickens out of an abundance of caution because of bird flu. Thank God. Thank God. Dr. Fauci hasn't retired yet. And thank God that this bird flu has not jumped to possibly affect humans. The media is also reporting that we are to stand by in the United States for another surge. This surge now to be the BA2 variant, as health officials across the United States have expressed great concern about dropping the mask mandate and letting people go out back out in public. More potentially bad news. We just got the data in regarding how the United States and how the rest of the world, hey, who locked down and who didn't? Can we look at the numbers side by side and compare them? You don't want to do that. Hey, can we look at the CDC data on the efficacy rating of the boosters in the 18 to 49? Hillary Rodham Clinton tested positive for COVID. Don't know why that's news, but boy, they really want to make it news. Hey, by the way, Madeleine Albright is first and is powerful and is refugee and the whole 9 yards. Well, we're going to put the body in the rotunda, and while we're at the meeting. Hey guys, want to come back to my place? We'll have a funeral. Different. They're fisting you sideways with your pants on with an ashtray, and you people are sitting back and you're allowing it. So that covers the news tonight. Yeah, we did that in 18 minutes. No rants, no raves. I'm Scooter McGee. Find me at scootermcgee.com. I'll see you hopefully on Patreon. I don't even know if that page is working. I did attempt to do a Rumble video today. Scooter McGee, spelled capital SCOOTER, M little C G little E's. Number one. You might find me on Rumble. I did a beta test. The live format may go away because I have to record the videos. If I give it live to Facebook or to YouTube, it becomes proprietary of YouTube. Thank you for the individual who shouted that out to me. To everyone who is supporting this and has been contacting me and texting me, thank you. I apologize. I'm being a jerk and an ass lately. It is my fault because I've got way too much stuff going on. I did not realize that I should probably have kept my mouth shut. But now that I started this, everybody's like, you need to, no, all of you need to shut up. Don't tell me what I need to do. I'll figure it out as best I can with the skill sets that I have and the friends that I have. I am not returning to radio. Those of you who know me, you know exactly why. The rest of you who don't know me, you don't need to know why. Forgive me. It's none of your business. So be well, be safe. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I apologize for any rants, but the headlines I gave you, perhaps they may not be the ones you're hearing in your media. Don't believe me. Don't believe them. When you see the headline, instead of sharing it and liking it and making your emoji before you ever read the first paragraph, the reality of the Hunter Biden laptop being true was how many paragraphs into a how many word long story? I want to say it was in the 29th paragraph. And then you go, oh, the laptop's oh, just kind of put down that way. Talk about burying the lead. How can we trust any of them? I don't know. Don't trust me. Trust your instinct, your third eye, your gut. If you're a guy, trust your testicles. If that's well, I mean, look where that always gets to the ladies. Look. I'm not even going to go there. I don't think actually I'm allowed to anymore. Um, be well, be safe. God bless, Godspeed. I will see you back at our normal time again, 1 a.m. Eastern for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. However, subscribe to this YouTube channel and to my Rumble channel, as videos are going to start appearing randomly. Little shallow moments and on this days and anything else that is not headline driven. And then when World War III breaks out, at least we'll all be up to speed. God bless. Be well. Be safe. Good night.